With great pleasure, I welcome you to the Nigerian Virtual Book Fair 2020.
And welcome to the 19th Annual Nigerian Book Fair.
So welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2020 Nigeria International Book Fair.
What have we done? If you publish a book and it doesn't get to the end user, that book is out.
Many booksellers associations fail. As our moderator pointed out, there is the inevitable conflict between individual success, running fastest, and association success, moving together.
First of all, let me congratulate all who have worked hard to take the traditional book fair online.
All our participants worldwide. Akeduli Samuel is my name, and on behalf of the chairman and board members of the Nigerian International Book Fair Trust, I bid you all welcome to the day 4 of the first Nigerian Virtual International Book Fair. I trust you've been having a very great time connecting with our programs since the event started on the day 1. And trust me, we are here to actually give you an awesome experience this year. And we really appreciate all our participants worldwide for connecting with this program. Today, we shall be having loads of programs for all stakeholders in the book industry. And very shortly, we shall begin with the second edition of the Booksellers Conference with the theme, Spending Less, Getting More, Managing the Online Book Marketing Budget. This conference shall run from 10 a.m. To 12 noon, as we shall be having Toby Enyade, Dr. Egosa Imasuen, Mr. Richard Mama, and Gideon Ilori, all from the Booksellers Association of Nigeria, to actually do justice to the theme, Spending Less, Getting More, Managing the Online Book Marketing Budget. And of course, after that, from the hours of 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. GMT plus 1, we shall be having another program, which is the Author's Groove. And the theme for that particular program shall be creative and other writings during the COVID-19 pandemic and afterwards. And we shall be having the likes of Dr. Taofik Olatubosun, Mr. Ekaite George, Mr. Oyekachi Onoha, Mr. Anote Ajuloro, Mrs. Shola Alamutsu, Mr. Henry Akubuilo, and Dr. Taofik Olatubosun, all from the Association of Nigerian Authors, to do justice to Authors Group from the hours of 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Please, we would appreciate you to connect with us in the course of the program. And of course, the last program we'll be having today shall be introducing booksellers directly, locating the booksellers in your neighborhood. And that's from the hours of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And of course, it would be handled by the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. For that program, we shall be having Mr. Adegbola Adeshino. We shall be having Mr. Richard Mama and Mr. Henry Ekom Itauma, all from the Booksellers Association of Nigeria, to also undo or anchor that program. And it's going to run from the hours of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. We would enjoy everybody to actually connect with us as we round up for today, from the hours of 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And I need to inform you, in case you have questions or comments from any of the presenters or for any of the presentations that will run live today, please do well to send your comments into our WhatsApp number, which I'm going to read now, +234 7016 98 8732. I'll take the number again, +234 7016 98 8732. Or you can also use the chat box just beneath your screen as we go live now. Thank you very much for connecting with us. Over to the Booksellers Association of Nigeria to commence their program shortly. Thank you.
Moderator, please take over. Moderator, please take over.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me, please?
We can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Morning, and we are welcome to the session. We want to apologize for taking a bit of time, but I think we are on now, so all systems go. This is the session on books marketing, online books marketing. How do we spend less resources to get more results? So it's a budget session. And I think that the way to go is to get, our team to, respond and deal with the issues as they are. My name is Richard Mama, and I'm taking you through this process. And I think that my task is quite a simple one. I would ask the team members to speak to the subject, and they would hopefully do justice to it, and then we can now get responses and respondents, to go on. The first thing I'm going to do is to introduce to us the panel that is taking the discussions for today. Spending less, making the best use of, the online budget. How do you spend less to get more results, even at a time as this, and going forward, because the new normal in which we are in now is new, and then it's normal. So we've got to take that complementarity. We have today speaking to us, Toby Eyinade. Toby Eyinade is of Roving Heights. She's a co-founder of the book marketing agency, Roving Heights. Toby talks books, she eats books, she sleeps books, very, very passionate about books and the process. And I think it's important that we listen to her. She's been doing quite some interesting work in the books marketing circuit. And I think that we would benefit, from our insights, our experience, and from these interactions that we're going to have today. We also have a second speaker. Mr. Gideon Iyori is going to speak more to the technical side of the issues. He's the co-founder of TechSide. Now, TechSide is a tech intervention, outfit. He's been involved in issues of, in tech issues and in digital issues over a number of years. He's done work across, different strata, and his hands are full. By the time I saw his brief, I said, hey, this is quite a multitasking, this is quite a talented personality that would shed quite a lot of insights into the session today, and is going to give us a technical brief on how to get this job done. We also have another resource person. He insists he is not a panelist, but is a very experienced and mature resource person. He's a publisher, he's an author. His name is Erusa Imaswe. He is also a medical doctor, trained as a medical doctor. I don't know how much medicine he's doing now, but I find him doing books and books and books and books. I'm sure that if his parents had to pay his school fees a second time, they would not pay for medicine. They would have just said, look, this man is a book man, let's just pay for books. But Dr. Erusa Imaswe is on our panel, and I think that we are going to have very interesting insights from him. Like I said, he has authored a number of books, and is also involved in the publishing business now. He runs Narrative, Landscape. So I want to welcome to this session today the three resource persons that I have just introduced. I don't know, but I would need us to confirm this. Is Toby in the house? He was having some technical issues before. Is Toby in?
Yes, I am. Hello, good morning. I'm so sorry. There was a last minute power outage. So all of my systems that was set up for the purpose of this just went off. Well, I'm trying to get that sorted. I'm logged in from my mobile. So my presentation and all of that is not accessible right now, but I can still carry on irrespective of that. I sincerely apologize for the glitch. And that is why my video is not on as well. Yeah, so as soon as the light is back, this is what my environment looks like. I don't know if everybody can still see me right now. Yeah, so this is me, but it's dark. And I don't feel comfortable with the whole ambience. It was just quite unfortunate that this happened. So I'm really sorry. But we can carry on, definitely.
All right, thank you very much. You are welcome, because spot on. Even going forward, we are going to have your presentation in about a minute. But I just want to take the final minute to also acknowledge, have the rest of our panel, give us a shout out. Mr. Gideon Iyori, can you just respond to us that you are in the house?
Okay, good morning. It's great to be here. I hope we have a very nice time. Can you hear me, please?
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Gideon Iyori, thank you very much. Technical people do their work and don't talk plenty, but we're going to hear quite a lot of the insights that you're going to provide for us today. We want to be able to run award-winning sites. We want to configure and work with everything that has to do with the ecosystem of digital, publishing, digital marketing, and digital interventions, digital business, as it has to do with marketing books, even at this time and going forward. So we would very much appreciate everything. I have my notepad here and I'm ready to make all the notes about everything that you'll be saying. Dr. Imaswen, can you give us a shout out? You are in the house. I can see your face.
Yes. Lovely to meet everybody. It's always a pleasure to join new people. As you know, I came here for the Aproko and Vitako and to gist with you people about the exigencies of trying to sell in digital space. So I'll be mostly reacting and offering insight and also listening to and explaining how applicable some of these solutions are to the reality of our business. And about medicine, I only practice now for family and friends.
Thank you very much. The man is talking like the author of Fine Boys. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Right, we go on now. We are moving on to Toby Enyinade. Toby, you can go on now. We want to get the benefit of your inputs, the benefit of your interventions at this point. We want to sell books and we want to sell them on the digital platform. We want to sell many books and we want you to give us a guide. You've been involved in selling books using digital resources for quite some time. How do we do it, on a budget? Thank you very much. Toby Enyinade, please continue.
All right, thank you so much for having me. Good morning, everyone. My name is Toby Enyinade, actually, and it's really a great pleasure to be here. Really sorry about all of the glitch. It's quite yeah, NEPA, there was supposed to be Gen 1, but last minute my team members are telling me that there's no fuel in the gen, but we're trying to sort that out. And as soon as that is up, my lab system, which has my slides and every other information that I'll be sharing, will be up for display. But in the meantime, I'll be presenting from same slide, but I can't what's the word now? I can't project right now because it is not my system. So I want to say a very big thank you to the organizers of this program. I feel it's quite a timely intervention in this particular space. Shout out to Bookseller Association of Nigeria for being forward thinking in their approach and creating this conference, and deeming it fit to carry out like a virtual fair, irrespective of the fact that a pandemic struck and so many things could not happen as we've actually envisaged at the beginning of the year. So it's really exciting to be here, and I've always yearned for an opportunity to rub minds with people of like minds, people in the same industry, and share a bit of my insight and sort of like learn from them as well, what has worked over the years for them, and then we'll probably would eventually work to make the book ecosystem or the book publishing industry a better one. Like the topic suggests, I'll be talking on spending less, getting more, managing the online book marketing strategy. And it's a very interesting topic. Thank you, Mr. Darif. I don't know who selected this topic, but I think it's a very practical and timely one, because it was very hard for me to say a no to this as soon as the topic came through. Awesome. So light is back. I'm really sorry about this, but I'm really excited that we are deeming it fit to think about all of these things. I'm happy that everyone is coming to terms with the fact that the future of everything is digital and that online is the next big thing. And so the first slide of my presentation is sort of like an outline, dives deeply into what this is all about, what my slides are, what I'm going to be discussing. Basically, I have an introduction because I guess I have about 30 minutes. So I'm going to try as much as possible in a slide to establish the facts. I'll share a few time-tested shortcuts that have worked for me and for what we do at Roving Heights. Then I would also shed more light on some basic things that need to be in place in order for you to be able to run a marketing strategy for your bookstore, for your online business, or online bookstore with a very slim budget. Also, there are a few other surefire strategies that I'll be sharing. I have a few case studies. Talk about some of these things or proof that everybody is a call to action. A call to action because I believe very strongly that everyone here needs to go home with him, and immediately after this conference, after this presentation, that you should really be in outline. I'm trying to also multitask and get my system up so I can actually share my slides as well. Thank you so much, Mr. Dare, for the vote of confidence. I'm really glad that everyone is taking me the way I am. So a bit about myself. Roving Heights started basically in 2015, and beyond being an entrepreneur, I'm also a marketing and communication professional. I have over 5 years experience that cut across management consulting, retail marketing, and banking. While running Roving Heights, I've had cause to actually build my capacity and actually develop the professional side of myself. And so I've worked with quite a number of brands and organizations in the past, and all of the knowledge that I've actually garnered over the years, I deploy to what I do currently, which is to run Roving Heights. Beyond that as well, I think it would also help for everyone to know that, okay, I'm not just speaking from a place of a novice. I have also worked with quite a number of notable authors. At Roving Heights, we've been able to make a bestseller out of some very familiar titles. Since we are big booksellers, I want to believe we are aware of them. At Roving Heights, we've been able to make a bestseller out of Okojo Weala's Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. Aside from that as well, we've done something with Tokenman on Becoming. There's also most recently Akin Alabi's Small Business Big Money. These are all names that we should quite be familiar with. Aside from that, too, I also help in creating great experiences and events for corporate organizations and individuals. All about me for the person into the crux of the matter. So I'm still trying to get my slide up because I think it is something everybody can stare at and they will get a bit of more insight on what we are trying to, what I'm trying to achieve. So a quick fact is that in developed country, a medium scale publisher would spend a minimum of $10,000 to push a title. And this $10,000 is just like an average projection. Typically, marketing budgets are usually set by publishers based on what their sales projections are. So say for instance, you want to run a 20,000 print run at a go, you want to make sure that getting the book out in the market, want to make sure that you put in all the necessary marketing, PR and advertising strategies in place that will make sure to make the book a success, basically. And so that is what is typically obtainable in the ideal world in developed countries. But unfortunately, we find ourselves in a country like Nigeria where, you know, you're faced with so many challenges. We could go on and on. Dr. Ewosa is here and can actually shed more light on all of the challenges he faces as a publisher in this particular part of the world. But we would not want to bother ourselves about all of these challenges. We want to think about solutions. We want to think about what will make the ecosystem better than it is currently and make something out of the little infrastructure things that we have available. And so it's a good thing that we're beginning to realize that digital and online marketing strategy are like an affordable option for us beyond what the traditional publishing offers. So I also in my slide mentioned that now that we've established the fact that everything that online, the digital platform provides such an amazing infrastructure for us to leverage in order to sell our market or in order to reach a wider audience, then it is now important for us to understand that there are ways through which you can achieve something with no matter to your budget is. At the time, whenever we talk about marketing, I guess for many of us as stakeholders in the book industry, we always assume that be plenty money, be rich, I have to have a lot of able to do market in the first place. So let's first of all disorientate our mind against the fact that, oh, it is enough for me to have my books on the shelf. People will walk into my store to get them, and then if it's not happening, we just fold our hands. And you know, now things have evolved beyond just books lying on the shelf. The world has transcended to a point where people want convenience, people want the comfort along with you ordering comfort of your home, basically. And so these are the new innovations, these are the changes in customer behavior that we're experiencing lately that is beginning to inform the decision for many of us to, you know, actually dive into the online space. And for us at Rovina, the model that we've actually used over the years have been an mortal store. We started solely online. And I'll quickly want to share a bit of insight on how this all started for me. I am relatively young, but I don't think age is an issue here. The social media is available for everybody. And I guess there are late bloomers. There are people who don't jump on the trend very quickly. We all had weird perception about, you know, social media in the first place, but I had always used social media for my personal self, for my own benefit. And I found out that there were so many people in other parts of Nigeria. I am based in Lagos, that, you know, want to be able to, that also love reading like I do, or actually love books, but I can't reach out to them because I cannot be traveling from one part of Nigeria to the other. And the best way for me to have been able to reach them was through social media. And basically, because I have an entrepreneurial interest in book, I felt like beyond just borrowing your books to people or just discussing about those books, there's a way you can actually sell it to them and make them jump on it, basically. And so that's like the background story of how Revenite actually started. For like the first 2 to 3 years of running the business, we were basically online. We didn't even have like a physical location at all. Revenite basically started in my dining room in 2015. And so we're just leveraging social media and a few other strategies that I'll be sharing during the course of this presentation that really helped us to get to where we are right now. I'm still keen to get my presentation up, but I hope I can get someone else on the team to get me started on that. But in the meantime, I'll just carry on from what I have here. Okay, so quick, what's the name, approach that can help us to be able to achieve so much with very little. Every one of us probably must have almost used an approach or a tactic that is used by industry, basically. So many journalists and people, sort of, you are encouraged to use the 5W and H whenever you're trying to come up with your new press release or news briefing, basically. So under the 5W and H, there is the who, the when, the where, what, why, and how. So for as much as this is applicable for journalists, a marketing strategy, you really need to know why. I think I want to start with why. So why do you want to sell this book? I guess I want to believe very strongly that it is the why behind, there has to be a why behind everything that we do as human beings. You would agree with me. And there's been a book by Simon Sinek that is that actually says that it is good for people to start with why. So say, for instance, you pick a book like Small Business, Big Money. So why do you want to sell the book? Why do you want people to buy the book? At that point, you begin to dive deep into finding out what makes the book tick. Why do you begin to look into it and find key lessons from it that can connect to the next person, so much so that they begin to buy into your reasons. And then the second most important thing that you should look at is your who. So who are the kind of people you're trying to appeal to, your audience? There's no, if you want to achieve so much with very little, it has to be targeted. And if you're marketing, there has to be an audience that you're trying to appeal to. And so you need to identify your who, the people you're trying to appeal to. Then what are you selling part-time in the first place? Half the time, whenever we dabble into, some marketing gimmicks, people don't really identify these things and you just do it haphazardly. But guess what? Some of the best marketing strategies that have worked in any part of the world, behind them is this approach. Many of them have to dovetail and be very intentional about their approach, about the things that they try to do, basically. So there's the need to also know what are you trying to sell part-time. You can't just go right ahead on a marketing campaign and you're trying to sell everything. People will be confused. Behind all the billboards, behind the most amazing campaigns, successful campaigns you've seen around this, all of these things, like I said earlier. And then there's also the what are you trying to sell? Then where? So when you go on a platform like Facebook, for instance, sorry, I'm trying to touch on so many things at the same time. You're trying to run a sponsored ad. There are so many questions that you have to answer, so much so that Facebook is able to dovetail and segment your ad. They're able to segment your campaign, and that way it hits the nail on the head. I mean, there's no point you trying to sell a book to someone who someone in a rural community who has not even entered the four walls of a classroom before, someone who cannot read or write. There's no point you trying to sell a children's book to someone between the age of 70 and 80, well, except maybe they have grandchildren they want to pass the book on to, if you get what I mean. So there's a need for you to know the who, the where, the what, the why, and when. So there's also the time factor too. There are some books, there are some marketing campaigns and strategies that you would need to embark on based on timing. I mean, whenever it's October 1st or whenever there's a particular kind of political incident happening, it just makes sense for you to want to push titles that you have in your store that are centered around a particular trend, that are centered around a particular important date or calendar. So those are some of the things, approaches that kind of helps your marketing strategy stick and hit the nail on the head and help them achieve the purpose that you want them to. And then the how, which is like the most important thing, because if you get all your 5Ws right, there's also the need for you to have your age correct, because it is true, it is that how actually dives into detail on the approach. What channel, what media are you going to basically use to sell or to market whatever book, whatever thing you're trying to put out there? So that's it, and that's that about the 5Ws and H. Then on my slide here, I have something that I call the standout factor. So I said here that every bookstore needs to have its unique value proposition. What is that one thing that makes your bookstore stand out? I think that's the very important question we all need to ask ourselves. I need to get my slide up. I don't know if I can get like 1 minute to get somebody else on the team to come help me check this out. But I'll carry on that notwithstanding. What is that one thing that makes your bookstore different from every other one? I think that is, as much as you have other products and marketing companies, when you approach an organization or a NESO, FMCG that sells products, whenever they are trying to launch out, they try as much as possible to find out that one thing that makes whatever product or whatever service they are trying to sell unique, basically. And so as a bookstore as well, it is high time we begin to approach whatever marketing strategy we have in mind from that holistic point of view. We need to bear in mind what dovetail and find out that one thing that makes us different from every other person. So this is what I mean. Fine, we are all involved in the book. We all sell books. I want to believe that I'm talking to booksellers here. But guess what? For every bookseller, there is that one thing that makes you different from the next person. But for every bookseller, you bear in mind that once you mention a store like Latana, the first thing that comes to mind is books around self-development, Christian books, basically Bibles. And although they have other things that they are known for, but that is like the primary thing that comes to mind basically whenever you mention Latana. For CSS Bookshop, I want to believe that they are mostly known for their very for professional and educative items, book items. I dare to do it. I stand corrected though, but on the top of my mind as a consumer or as a customer, that is the impression that I have. So if you are looking for hardcore books around a particular subject matter that are supposed to be educational, that are supposed to help equip you either in an academic environment or professionally, CSS Bookstore is the place to be. Okay, so I can my system now. Hi everyone. I just want to confirm very quickly if everyone can hear me now. Am I still up?
You are
Yes.
up.
Yes.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
We can hear you.
Okay,
I hear you.
so I'll just carry on from here. Let me quickly share my slides. I'll share my screen right away so everyone can see me. I'm really sorry for the break in transmission. Yeah. Okay, can everyone see my screen now?
Oh, yes, we can.
All right, really sorry once, I sincere apologies once again. Um, so this is where I am. So the unique value proposition. So I'll carry on from the unique value proposition, which is another bookstore that I really want to mention is Florence and Lambert. So I know I've known Florence and Lambert for a while now, and they are known for legal and law materials. So when you're looking out for a book at all around law, the law profession, they are like your one-stop bookstore. I could go on and mention so many other bookstores, but I want to believe everyone is quite familiar with them. So I feel that at the core of actually going on to carry out a marketing strategy that would not cost you so much is for you to be able to do still what your value proposition is. Find that one thing that makes you unique. So you need to identify that one strong value that you bring to the table, even though it's a huge space. I believe the sky is big enough for everyone to fly. But aside that, there's an opportunity for you to be able to say that one thing. It could be the nature of your service. It could be something unique about your customer experience. It could be a particular vibe or impression that people get whenever they buy books from you. For us at Roving Night, I think what stands us out is the convenience, the fact that we are online and the swift delivery that we offer, basically. And once we found out that that is one thing that endears us to our customers' hearts, we just find new ways to build around it, to capitalize on it, and make people believe even give them more reasons to want to buy from us. And so here, I'm also touching about on the issue of branding and reputation. Very quickly, I want to say something about one thing that I think beyond just marketing, I think it also plays a very key role in our marketing approach. That it is very important that we guide our reputation, we guide our brand, whatever name, whatever bookstore it is that you run, you guide the reputation and the impression people have about you. There are some bookstores that have a reputation, even amongst booksellers, to not be to lack integrity. There are some that are known to be forward thinking, that once you go to them with ideas, there are opportunities for you to collaborate, to partner with them. There are some that probably when you known to be the kind of store that when they supply you books, it is hard for authors or partners to get those things eventually inform why people want to buy from you, basically. So other thing I also want to emphasize here is the issue of branding. Yes, I feel that there are some of us that would part you want your brand for. You begin to ask yourself those critical questions around, okay, so when people see Latana, when people see Roving Heights, when people see comes to mind, what perception do they have about us? And there are different ways for you to boost your brand and market impression, basically. And I guess I'll be touching on a few of them as the slide goes on. So I'll be jumping very quickly to the time-tested strategies. I'm going to be as practical as possible. I'll be sharing case scenarios and things that have really, really worked for us over time. So first amongst them is the need for us to actually acquire new digital skills. And if we cannot, partly because of the demands of the work, there's also the need for you can also use the alternative of hiring a competent and I think that's like a very cost-effective way for you to be able to market or for you to penetrate the online market. So the online market is quite peculiar. It's totally different from the traditional platform or the traditional media that we're familiar with. So for online, there are so many skills you need to have. You need to understand how platforms like Twitter, how certain platforms actually work. And
you also want to understand the strategy behind each platform and what is being done across those platforms. And because sometimes, because of the nature of the work can be very, very demanding, you also might want to consider hiring a competent and and a cheap and affordable way for you to do that is to consider internship and volunteering opportunities in your bookstore. So there are young people who are very conversant with all of this digital infrastructure that you can reach out to, and they will be willing to offer their skills at a quite reasonable and affordable rates. I'm aware of a few of such internship platforms. I think there's one called the Digify. We've actually worked with an intern from Digify before at Rovie Night, and the person was of immersive value to our business. But of course, as the owner of the bookstore, you want to have like um you want to understand, be able to drive such efforts. So you need to know something about everything. So that is why it is also important for you to acquire new digital skills. Then there are also volunteering opportunities. So your volunteer, or the next person that would take, the person that would take your bookstore to the next level might probably be your customer, might be a young person that walks into your store. And if you engage them, you might find out that they might offer one or two things that would add value to your bookstore. So another thing, that time-tested strategy that has worked for us and that is optimizing existing digital platforms such as e-commerce websites. So during the early days when we did not even have a brick and mortar store at all at Rovie Night, I leverage platforms like Konga and Jumia. And here is why. I understand fully well that those platforms, those e-commerce platforms are marketplaces. They sell variety of products and services there. And so it is not just secluded to book people. It's not just for bookworms. So an average person who is going on a platform such as Konga or Jumia is going to buy gadgets, is trying to buy clothes, or any item at all, can even also get a chance to see books that might interest them. And so during those early days, I made sure to open a store on Konga and on Jumia. And because such platforms allow for cross-selling, it was a good way for us to penetrate new markets and to reach new groups of people, basically. So it did not just end at just having ourselves on those platforms, because we want to be able to retain those customers for ourselves. For every product or for every book you buy and we sell via Konga and Jumia, in those days, I used to slot in our bookmarkers. This is what a Rovie Night bookmarker looks like. It didn't used to look like this back then. Something as little as this. Though this is not digital, but eventually it draws traffic to your digital platform. It kind of like bears more information about us, so much so that you can find out more information on how you can see like a larger range of product and books that we have in stock, and we can even engage you beyond just the Konga and Jumia platform. So when you go on to leverage existing digital platform, the idea behind it should be to retain those customers or those markets that you reach to yourself. And so it's like you're harvesting people from different channels to come place on a platform of your own. And it is very important for me to mention the need for people to have their own websites. There's this joke I was saying to one of my team members these days, that even though we are on Instagram, even though we have quite a number of followers there, guess what? I am borrowing property. I'm leasing a room on Mark Zuckerberg's website. And any day he can decide to come and yank me off, or anything can go wrong with Instagram, anything can go wrong with Facebook or any of those platforms. But if you already have your own platform or your own landing page somewhere else where you engage them, there won't be any hassle at all. So I think the other thing I mentioned here is the need for you to get on board. Social media is a place for good visibility. So if you run a bookstore and you're not on social media, or you're not even bothered about it at all, I would beg you to please get on board. It is not a negative platform. In fact, there are so many immense benefits. The good actually outweighs the bad, and you can actually control it. So bookstores, as bookseller, we need to begin to understand that social media is the place to be. You want to be on the lookout for what is trending on platforms like Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and see how you can intentionally chip in something that would bring people your way or would make people believe that you're actually forward thinking. Then another good way, time-tested strategy for online marketing for books that have actually worked over the years for us is events and community engagement. I'll first of all touch more on community engagement. So for community engagement during the early days, because you want to be organic in your approach. You want to make sure that the kind of people that you are having on your platform, on say your Facebook or your Twitter platform or whatever digital platform at all you're trying to get traffic to, are people who are genuinely interested in what you're selling. So I thought that the best way to engage these people is offline. So during the early days and even to date, we have like a package for book clubs. So we reach out to book club members and try to tell them something about what we do and how we can add value to what they currently have going. So at that particular point in time, I think we offer attractive discounts to them because there are different book clubs that are springing up across different parts of the country. But beyond just them, they were, even though at that time they were very, very small in numbers, I started encouraging small group of people. So when I see anybody that is very, what's the word now, that have amazing social skills, that you have a large number of people within your circle, I would reach out to you and say that, oh, do you know you can actually start off a book club if I know you are someone that have an interest in book. And even if you're a reluctant reader, I thought there are so many Nigerians that will complain that, especially in Lagos, that, oh, I don't have time and all of that to read and what have you. But when you begin to tell them that you need an accountability partner, when you all just come together in a club and you make it more exciting and infuse a bit of more fun activity and something that is less boring into it, you see that it tremendously helps. So engaging communities such as book clubs or bodies, groups, and organization of people is a good way to kind of is a good way to actually increase to get your marketing strategy going. I'll quickly touch because I can see that I have less than 5 minutes left. So I want to talk about creative content generation. There's something they call user-generated content. When people come to your store, because it is not enough for you to be the one bragging about what you're doing. You want to tell people to spread the word on your behalf. Because when Mr. B talks about your bookstore, several people within a circle will find out about it. So you probably ask them to post for a picture with a book or encourage them to post whatever it is that they buy from you across their social media platform. Then storytelling is also a good way for you to spend less. Storytelling does not cost a thing. You just need to come as you are, be as vulnerable as possible, connect whatever it is that you're selling to something that is relevant and make sure it makes sense. There's an art to it actually, but it works tremendously. Then I can go on and on about blogging, vlogging. For blogs have been tested to be a good way for you to get traffic to your website if your bookstore has a website. So it helps with SEO, search engine optimization. So when you blog and you share book reviews, when you share your thoughts about a particular book, it's a very affordable, it doesn't cost you anything for you to do that. You don't even have to spend ₦1. All you need to do is to put in the effort and put it out there, and you will one way or the other get more people to come on board. And also I want to emphasize email marketing. Email marketing is also an affordable option that we can use to reach our online market more. With email marketing, all you need to do is have a database. So customers that walk into your physical stores, I'm sure some of them drop their phone numbers and ask them if they want to get newsletters and offers or discounts and freebies from you, and you can optimize that as well. Then I also want to emphasize the need for you to find a digital channel that works for you. It's not everybody that will be thriving on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, or any of this place. I know of Sunshine Bookstore. I think they are in Ibadan. I think Mr. Wale, that's the name of the owner. He has mastered how to use WhatsApp to market and it is working for him. There's a way he just packages it and sends out those BC with his business line, and it reaches people and it converts. So there's a need for you to find one or two of those platforms. You necessarily do not have to be thriving in all of them, and find what works and capitalize on it and find ways to actually make it go. Then there's also, you could probably consider using incentives and referrals. So referral programs have an approach. Because of my time, I will not be able to shed more light on it, but you can Google, or I'm happy to shed more light after this particular conversation. Then influencer marketing works the magic. So half the time, there are people of influence, there are people in quotes, they are classified into micro, macro, that have, depending on the number of followership they have, that you can reach out to. Some of them charge money, some do not. They just need to see the value you are offering them. They just need to be able to see that there's value being exchanged, basically, and it's about building relationships too. So there are some people that are influential that you can reach out to. All you need to do is to package something very nice, and give them the book and ask them that in exchange they should do a review. People on their circle will see, and in one way or indirectly find out about your bookstore, and they eventually come down to buy from you, basically. So those are some of the what's the name strategies that we have used over time at Roving Night, or even from my experience that have actually worked. I wanted to dwell a bit more on case studies. I had to put book pictures. For Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, when the book came on board, I think it was a very timely read title. So for after Okonjo-Iweala left the Jonathan administration, for a long time people weren't hearing anything about her, and there was so much controversy surrounding her exit. So when the book came out, we knew we wanted to engage people, and so Twitter was the platform where you will find the politically conscious Nigerians, and that was where we keyed into, and we made quite a number of sales. Off the top of my head, I think we only had the book on our shelf for a space of 3 months, which again emphasized the reason why you should have your when, basically. I have here the Adichie collection. So the Adichie collection, sorry, I'm going beyond time. The Adichie collection is Chimamanda's books, and when Narrative Landscape got the rights to publish the Ankara Press what's the name covers, it was novel, and I felt that it was a very exciting idea. All I needed to do is to partner with a foremost product photographer who took very attractive pictures of the book, and we could post and sponsor across different digital platforms. The mere fact that people could see a book as attractive like this, that mimic or imitate African prints, was one thing that really worked, and we also found a good way to actually package it. I could go on and on about so many other books, but because of my time, I would not be able to dwell much on this. For Women and Leadership, it's also an Okonjo-Iweala's book. There's a marketing strategy we are putting in place currently that is helping us to reach a large online market. So finally, my call to action, I would really want to plead with us, because I believe that beyond, as a bookseller, you actually play a very critical role. I guess sometimes when the going is tough, we get carried away and we are not motivated to even keep at it. Sometimes you might question the reason why you're doing what you're doing, especially when the books are not looking good. But we play a very critical role in our society. If we take away bookstores from any country or any gathering of people at all, whether you like it or not, the people will begin to decline intellectually. So we are forces, we are key forces in our society. And that is why I will be leaving us with this call to action. There's a need to actually do research. There's a need to go back to the drawing board and revisit your strategy. If there's already a strategy in place, good for you, then try to do research, find out deeply and be very intentional about, okay, so what do I want? What group of people do I want to appeal to? And research can take different formats. You want to probably do like a SWOT analysis too of your business, of your bookstore. Then if you do not have a brand at all, then you probably want to see how you can talk to a small branding agency that can help you define your brand. And then the last thing that I also want to talk about is the need to optimize a channel. Online is the place to be, the future of everything is digital, if you don't want to go into extinction, or you don't want a business that you suffered over the years to actually grow, to die, you really need to get on board. There's so much to be done. I really hope with all of these things that I've talked about, I know I had very little time. I wish I got more opportunity to dive into more details. You've been able to take away one or two things. It might be WhatsApp. WhatsApp is quite easy to use for everybody. It might be your WhatsApp status that you'll be optimizing, and email marketing, whatever it is. Just make sure you are somewhere, you're not waiting for people to walk into your physical stores to come and pick up the book off the shelf. Take the book off the shelf to them and put them in their faces. Be very aggressive with it. And like you would have seen from my slides, many of these efforts don't cost anything. They cost little or close to nothing. So that's basically all. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for listening. I apologize for the initial glitch once again, and I hope this has been of immense value to everyone. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hello? Okay, Toby?
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah. All right. Thank you very, very much. I think that you have done the work. My hands are applauding here, and I'm sure that a number of other people would want to do the same thing. I think this is quite some presentation to remember. All right, Erosa.
Yes, please. Good morning. Yes,
okay.
Yes.
I'm sure you have also gotten quite some heat from this presentation.
Yes. It's been very, what's that word? Edifying to find out that people share the same concerns and that there's a convergence of solutions from different people trying to research a problem, coming up with almost the same kind of solutions.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have had Toby Enyinade, co-founder Roving Heights, speak to the subject. And I think that this is my view. She has put quite a number of the issues in perspective. She has made it easier to sell books. That's my straight away response. She's made it easier. Sometime in the 90s, I attempted selling books. I set up a bookshop. I can still remember the address. It's number 12 Ogudu Road at Ojota. I attempted selling books. If I had gotten this presentation before I started then, I would have passed many bus stops by now. But that effort was stalled. I was telling the president the other day that I am a former bookseller, that even my certificate is still there, that one day, if I invest small, I'll pick it up and come and join Van again. But I think it's quite an interesting one, and I think we should appreciate Toby for the input she has made. She has spoken to a wide range of issues, and I think some of it is informed by our marketing communications background. But again, the other part of it is that I think she has also kept her ears, kept her ears to the ground, kept her eyes, on her sights on stuff, and continued adjusting. I think we can sell more books in this environment. One of the issues people talk about is that Nigerians don't read. And then some other people would respond and say, have you given them what they want to read? And I just as you said in some of the approaches that she was recommending, we've got to go out there and reach people and get them and where they are. If you have to go to Konga or Jumia or one of the other platforms as for an entry, that is good enough. When you build capacity, you can say, hey, I've seen enough of that and I can move on. I remember, for example, that a couple of years back, I was at the Frankfurt Book Fair, and one of the persons that was making a presentation then was talking about how they can aggregate all the information in the world together and put it on one site and get it all together and move it on, and the world, someone wants to get information, you just, clicks on it. And many of us were looking at him, hey, what is this guy talking about? But today we have Google, we have Wikipedia, we have, a number of those platforms. So I think it's a work of, continuing to build, and we should just get on to that. Thank you once again, Toby. We appreciate this. I'm sure that there will be some other responses that would come when we come to question time, and when the rest of the speakers, take it up from here. But at this point, I want us to go on to our tech presentation. We are going to have Mr. Gideon Ilori. Is he in the house? Gideon, can you hear me? Gideon, Mr. Ilori. Okay. I think we may have.
Maybe
can you hear me, sir?
Stepped away.
Your mic. Okay.
Unmute your mic, Mr. Ilori.
I don't think he's at his desk. He stepped away.
Yeah, I can't. Okay.
I'll give me a call.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's quite something to be able to have an idea, to be able to get through, the brand dimensions of these, because we're in the market and we are selling things, and we've got to just keep, up in our game. One of the things, for example, that Toby mentioned was the fact that there are interns in the market. There are interns out there who are trying to build and grow some capacity, and it's a win-win for both parties. You get an intern into your system, the intern has so much digital savviness than you do, and you benefit, the intern benefits. But again, you also have to up your game. Your own digital savviness has to also go up. All right, is Mr. Yori with us now?
Okay, connect. We are waiting for you.
Okay.
He said he got cut off, so he's trying to reconnect.
Okay, I would appreciate if you can just get this connection through, so that we can just. Yes, Mr. President, sir.
Take one or two responses from. Can we take one or two responses from Dr. Efosa? Sorry.
Okay. Yes, I think we can do that, so that we can try and exhaust this component of the discussion as of now.
Yes.
Okay, while Mr. Larry is trying to reconnect with us, Rosa.
Yes, sir.
Okay, straight away, from your experience in the industry and from the whole process of trying to navigate these new normal conditions that we are faced with, what's your straight off reaction to some of the things that Toby has said and advised that we should do?
Okay, so I think for someone like me, it has always been about the balance. It has always been about cost effectiveness, about what enthusiasm dropped somebody into risking, and what the actual outcome was. So, for example, I got into the industry after my first novel, my second novel, then I started running Kachifo Limited as Farfina. And it was one of those things where you wanted to know how powerful, how your digital media, how your presence could be wrangled into earning money, into selling books. Now, coming from the point of view of a publisher, of a boutique publisher, of a small press who is also directly retailing books to readers and selling books to distributors and booksellers, for us, it has always been about the most efficient and the cheapest way to get it done. Like Toby said, we don't have $10,000 to spend on marketing a book. You not get where it is. So most times we find ourselves having to make the initial decision we first made when looking at the costs, when looking at one of the most expensive parts, which is logistics, was piggyback on something that already existed. Because the choices were either the post office, using the post office, which as reliable as it has become over the past several years, it's a lot better, was still a bit weird. You didn't know how long it would take. You knew it would take 2 days or 3 days. The country has been striving to try and make the post service better. But the front facing of it doesn't really work for short services, like sending the book to Benin and the rest. The weight issues, the scaling issues were always a problem. What about the privately built logistic firms? You know, companies, private law, because in Nigeria, as a business, you end up building your entire space by yourself. You are your NEPA, you are your water board, you are your electricity, you are your pension content and everything. So that's when we also learned to piggyback on Jumia and Konga. Of both of them, Konga are the easiest seller. Not easier. We just uploaded our books, and whenever we got sales, we just went and dropped it. And it was one of those things where we said, okay, you know what, as producers of books, to whom do we speak? How do we market our books? How do we brand something that is a bit catchy that makes the online world take notice? And that's when we started the idea of the Ankara covers for the once we got the rights to the Chimamanda Adichie books, we came up with catchy covers, and our social media page has always been, it's always the kind of idea of having constant posts, taking it really seriously, our Twitter and our Instagram. And our business model is we're selling books, we're also selling publishing services. So each one serves the rest, serves the other one. The more people hear about us, the more they come for our publishing services, or the more they come for our books. But it still ends up with this. Apart from creating your profile, apart from raising your profile online, apart from people hearing about who you are, how far can one manage logistics costs? Because if you want to individualize it for each title, if you're going to be using the motorcycle riders in Lagos, how can you scale? How can you send books elsewhere? I remember, Toby, you can on your mic. Toby, you can put on your microphone.
Okay, I'm with you now.
Toby, you remember how drastically we had to scale down on both sides. I think it happened to the same time around us when we were shipping books abroad.
Yeah.
Through NIBF.
Yes.
Then one afternoon, without warning, the Nigerian Postal Service quadrupled shipping costs. It was crazy. And we had already sold books. We had sold books to Americans. These are DJ covers. Everybody wanted this. Everybody who knows August meeting knows. We all know it now. August, if you are traveling for meeting, everybody wanted these things. These things, we got the rights from Vlisco, the original company that made them in the 1800s. We got the rights, and they gave us the designs, and we were selling it across the African diaspora. People all over the continent were asking for it just because it reminded them of home. It reminded them of the 60s. I remember my mother had this wrapper. It reminded them of the 80s. And what happened? Costs tripled immediately. And it was in a way of NIBF trying to make things more efficient. But books will not survive in a market that thinks that books should fight market forces or be efficient. So for us now, where we are coming from is that we are trying to, because this thing about Jumia and Konga selling much more than books, which is good in one way, because it means that people going there for other things are also a captive audience that can come into your market. But people must also remember that Amazon itself, which is the archetype for the online marketplace, started because Jeff Bezos was selling books out of his garage, like Toby Ayina. This heights, you should start selling other things to draw eye to books. But that is what we are. So right now, as a publisher, as a producer of books, and also a retailer, our major constraints have been how to handle social media much more effectively and cheaply. And this idea of companies that can actually rent out in terms that where we can outsource the service of somebody managing, creating a digital archetype for us, creating a digital character for our company. Like everybody who knows football Twitter will see how the Roma
Dr. Erosa has actually said it all.
I'm ready.
Toby, is your mute on? Okay, no, I can barely hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so like I said, Dr. Erosa has actually raised some very important points. Yes, I understand the logistics side to running an online bookstore. It's actually a major problem. It's even not peculiar to booksellers alone. It's peculiar to other industries or other business owners. However, I guess the reason why it's even more critical for books is because it's tougher for booksellers is because in this part of the world, books are still some form of luxury. You would agree with me. People would rather buy food, would rather buy fashion items before they remember that, oh, I need to buy a book at the end of the month or something. So initially it was part of the things that we talked about, because I dare to say that at least in this particular space, we try to experiment with a few other logistics partners. Aside from Konga and Jumia, there are so many logistics companies that are out there. First, the ones that are available within the states. Initially, we did some partnership with Gokada, Max Delivery, and a couple of them. Their rates were pretty decent because of the volume. If you're doing good volume, they are open to giving discounts. However, along the line, we found out that those were not effective enough, because there were times when you would give orders to Gokada, and you know, Lagos is very big, right? I'm just citing an example with Lagos. Lagos is quite big, and there's traffic, there are so many challenges, and you might get an order from someone in Agege, and then you have somebody in Aja, and you know, there's a limit to the number of dispatch riders a Gokada or a Max Delivery will give you per time. So before the rider who goes to Agege will eventually now go to Aja, is by the time the rider is done, customers are already apprehensive. You begin to tell stories that touch and all of those. We eventually got a hang of it, though we don't own dispatch riders on our own, but there are individual riders, that freelance riders, let me use that word for this purpose, that are open to actually running, that you can pay as you go basically, and they can run some of these deliveries for you per location. Then for interstate delivery, for those people who are ordering for books from Katangura and all of that. So here's what we typically advise them when they come on board. So if, for instance, the book is costing as low as 2,000 naira, for instance, Chimamanda's book, I remember, by the way, just as an aside, I remember that time in 2017 or 18, when Adiche collection happened. Oh my God, we had put so much effort into marketing and it was working. We got a number of pre-orders already then. We had a fixed rate based on what was applicable from NIBF. And then out of the blues, they just changed their rate. That threw us off guard.
Three times, by three, they changed from something that was 1,000 naira became 4,000 naira.
It was ridiculous. For a book that you're buying at 8,000 naira, or was it like 6,500? I can't remember precisely. You're being asked to pay above 15K or above 10,000 naira to get it delivered to you in the US or any other part of the world. So that was really, really ridiculous. But if you're open to exploring and reaching out to some of these logistic partner bodies, and they are willing, they have small packages for SMEs, small businesses that might actually work for your business, and so they handle the logistics for you. And all you need to, of course, there are few cases of ineptitude on their part, but you need to follow up closely from time to time just to make sure and manage your customer expectations to right from the scratch. So Nigeria, as it's as amazing in quote as this country is, it's terrible that we don't have a good railway system. Roads are terrible, flights, and there might be delays. There are issues that might come up along the line, but it is your own place as a bookseller or as a business owner to have structure or things in place to mitigate challenges that might occur in the area of logistics. You just want to preempt your customer and provide updates, provide real-time feedback to them just to manage them. And because they are Nigerians too, because they are humans, once you have a genuine explanation and you are letting them know per time, it kind of like you get a hang of it until when our government remember us and things begin to fall into place, basically.
Yeah,
okay, thank you very much.
I'm even seeing some questions. There's a question here that says, how do I join a good book club? Also, what's your take on book sales online and delivery? How do you manage customers? We'll discuss that at the ending of after Mr. George's presentation on the technical aspects of our work. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Egosa, and thanks, Toby. More questions are going to come, but we also have one of the issues about this new normal is that we have to work within tighter time frames. If we were in a physical hall, I would have been shouting. I would have taken a sheet of paper and come and stand in front of you and say, hey, how many minutes? Oh yeah, make you get up. But it's okay. I think we should take Gideon in your now. Gideon, are we ready? But there are quite some questions and some responses that are still coming.
I am here.
Okay. Okay. Gideon, 1 minute, you are on now. But I think that Toby should note this. Our Dr. Koya Yaiton has raised one issue, is saying that you are raising so many trade secrets and giving it out for free. Are you going to invoice us for it? We'll get back to that, but please make your invoice reasonable. We'll now get on to the technical side.
Hello,
Gideon,
can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go on.
Hello, I'm here. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. We want to hear the technical side of how to get this job done.
My network has just been fluctuating, but okay. All right. Can I go ahead to share my screen?
Please do. Please go ahead.
I'd like to share my screen now. Just a minute. Oh. Okay, so I'm trying to bring up my screen.
Is screen sharing allowed for everybody? Has it been enabled for everybody?
Share my slides, just a very short one. Okay. Okay. All right, sir. Just a minute. Screen sharing. Okay. All right. It appears I'm having issues with this, unfortunately. Okay, but let me just go on while I sort it out.
Is your screen sharing enabled?
So
Because
first, I like to say, yeah, I can see. Yes, it is.
It's enabled.
I see.
Okay, because
Yes,
some
it
of the
is.
hosts should check and enable screen sharing for everyone. Multiple people can share screen at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I'm in.
Okay, we can see you now. Effective online marketing. Yes, we've seen your screen. All right, so you can continue.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, so basically, I want to first say a big thank you for the opportunity to speak. I know I have a very, very short time, so I'm going to be brief as much as possible. So thank you, Booksellers Association, and all the people that are connected. So quickly, I want to first start with a very question that most of us would like to know, which is why does online marketing fail? We've heard a lot. I want to also appreciate Toby for all the good things she has said. Very, very instructive and insightful. So, but again, we want to start with, a lot of us have put money into this thing and so many people are discouraged. Some people are wondering, I don't think this online marketing works. And from what the doctor was just saying before I connected back is that sometimes even the issue of sales can be an issue. Getting books to people is one. Another thing is getting to sell it. But first, let's even just start with this idea of how do we get the book sold online? And then how does it work online? So that we don't waste time putting money and not getting back a couple of things. So briefly, a few reasons why online marketing would fail is one, assumption. A lot of people go online to sell based on wrong assumption. The idea is that, oh yes, I know that everybody is making money online, let's just join it. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to be properly briefed so that you can maximize the platforms and then the money that you are spending online. Again, isolated operation. Some people also think that, well, if I'm on Facebook, then I am good. It doesn't just happen that way too. So because there are a couple of things that we must work on to make sure that we are running well. Intuition marketing, some people work without data. We are not following data. And then emergency launch. Emergency launch can be sometimes very good, but most of the times you probably lose on the other side. There's sales target over customer acquisition. I'll speak on all of these shortly. So then we have goalless and unmeasurable effort and process deficiency. A lot of us need to put process in place to be able to get these things done. And trying to quickly tackle this, there are four major things I have highlighted. We may not reach everything, but I'll just focus on the major. So one, you need to understand the digital marketplace. How do I actually turn things around to sell online, especially book? Because there are different things. I just had the last speaker saying something now that the way people look at dresses and cars are not the same way you are going to sell books, definitely. So you need to understand the digital marketplace for the industry and for the product. We need to understand the digital landscape. How does the online interaction, how does it work so that we can just ride on it to get things done? And then what are the ideologies and the processes in place? Like I said, we just take a few of these and we'll be done. But again, one of the questions we will need to also look at is in the digital marketplace. Okay, in the digital marketplace, we have so much. I am just showing this slide to show us how much money is being spent in other African countries because of the opportunities they see in the digital marketplace or in the digital space, as it were. If you take a quick look at this, we have the size of internet advertising, and this is a projection between 2016 to 2021, and we can see that South Africa has a lot of money being put into digital advertising, internet advertising. That's over half a billion. Okay, because this is actually denominated in millions. And then we see next to South Africa is Nigeria, and next to Nigeria is Kenya and Ghana and Tanzania. Now, this is just to tell us that as much as booksellers may complain that this thing may not work, there are many people going there to put money inside it. So definitely there's something in it for us to pick. And all we need to do is just to re-strategize and see how much we can get from that. And having said that, let's look at book as a product, because book is very different from every other product. We need to know how to sell it and how we can use the back end ideas to push it. So book does not advertise itself like clothes, cars, or bags. Because when somebody wears a nice clothes or you see a nice car, the tendency is to, oh, I like that car, I need to go and get it. But nobody goes ahead putting book on his head or putting book on his, showing the book is reading all over the place. Nobody sees it. So that's one other thing we need to know. There must be a different way to sell the books. Then also, it's not a show glass commodity. Sometimes you are passing by the road, you see a cloth or something or a piece of furniture, you just walk in to buy. It doesn't work that way. Book is an inner shop product. And what do I mean by inner shop product? It means that you need to draw the person to yourself and you need to engage the person one-on-one. And so it does not sell on emotion, but it sells on logic. Because when people go online to find out what they want to buy, they are about books, they are already thinking in a logical way. Apart from novels, of course, novels and authors. So generally, we have software, we have hardware, but a book is what I call a mindware, which is the same category. So how do we initiate this mindware, or how do we sell it? Quickly, I'll go to the digital landscape for us to understand how these things work. Number one, the digital landscape is not all about social media. Social media is just one under platforms. We have the platforms, all the social media we go, our website, our email, our ebooks, our e-games, and all the platform for e-learning, they are already they are part of the digital landscape. Then we have content. The things we are putting there for people to read is also part of the digital landscape, because if you don't have correct content, you may not connect with the right people. And then we also have people. People are accounts. When you see people's account, someone's account or someone's email, an email right now is as good as a human being, because you know there is someone behind it that you can actually engage. And just a quick flow here, that we have over 30 million accounts in Nigeria of people who are on Facebook between the age of 18 and 60 and all of that. So, but I'll go on again from here to show us how this whole thing works. Because sometimes people just post things on Facebook. I'm using Facebook as an example. This thing works as a funnel, because when people go and you look at people's Facebook page, they have 10,000 followers, but they are not making the kind of sales that they are just at the top of the funnel. There are activities that you need to engage, you need to put in place to convert them to your customer. So you need to go to make them make comments. You need to see that you get with them on email, and then you can convert them. Like I said, the book selling is an inner shop selling. So when you have one person, then you can run some more. Now, the other thing I want to mention, probably this is where I would try to draw the curtain. All these digital platforms, they work together. So just being on Facebook is not enough. And this is a straight line graph on how we can connect everything. One, people see your product on the social media, and for whichever way you're able to put it. The other thing is, on social media, you make an offer. I've had the Toby and Doctor, they have said something about trying to draw people onto and making sales online. You need to make an offer. Most Nigerians don't make offers. I've been online for a while, and I see that very little you see free books, or you see free even free packages from Nigerians. But we like most of those things from abroad. Now, what you do with all of these magnets, you want to draw them to yourself. Even a free seminar like this can also be a magnet where you can gather their data. So when you get the data, then you can begin to market them one-on-one, because you have their emails, you have their phone numbers. Interestingly, nobody goes to the social media place without an email. And so somebody who has an email is already digitally enabled one way or the other. And then it also means that to a very large extent, you can engage the person. So you need to find a way to harvest data. That is the most important thing in online marketing, so that we can now begin to speak to their interest one-on-one. And then we move them to our website where we can show them what we have. And then when they see that, even when they buy books from us, we see that things will begin to market them. I want to ask us, some of us, we probably will not remember the last time you bought something on the internet and then you got a mail after that. It's not a Nigerian practice, but overseas these things are done seamlessly, so that the person feels that they understand me. And from one person that buys a book, you can get more books and more network from that person if you have the right strategy and the right content. And then the next thing to do from emails is to now put your emails together. There are different people that you meet online. Some people, they are following educational books. Some people, they are following novels. Some people, they are following, maybe self-improvement books. You're able to categorize people who like those things because you put them in communities. And people who like those things talk to one another. So you can send the kind of email and the kind of titles that are relevant to those people. And why I'm saying all of this is this. Just one more slide. Okay, let me jump this one. All right. It's because the online system works in a very funny way. People go to the social media platforms because of their interest. So what we need to do is to put our books according to interest. I think I will need to just quickly run down to show us what that means, the implication of interest. People go online to engage with what interests them. So what we need to do is to make sure that our books are sold according to interest or author. And then sometimes we need to advertise our categories, because nobody goes to say, oh, I want to go and buy a book. They are looking for something that interests them. And that is how we can place our books. Sometimes titles may not sell, because when people are going online, the machine for instance, on Facebook, the machine tells you pick people's interest. So we begin to categorize our books according to interest, so that people will find it in their path. Then the next thing that works online is engagement. We have to learn to engage people, and it's very easy to do that. All we need to do or to understand is that, one, we are going for customer, not for sales. The difference in all of this is that, number one, when you make sales, it's just that one-time engagement you have with the person and the person is gone. But when you want to have a customer, it means I need somebody that I can be sending my products to regularly. And sometimes the person can even refer you to other people because they also have a community. So when we are moving on the digital space, or we are doing marketing online, what we should learn to do is to create a connection. So we should go beyond our likes and views and begin to generate conversations around topics, around books. And then everybody who makes comment on our Facebook page or any of our channels, we should celebrate them, because it means that the person has gone further beyond somebody who is just browsing and seeing what you are doing. The next quick thing that also works on the internet is actually value. People want to know what they are paying for. So the question is, what are you selling? I know most booksellers will say, I'm selling books. But no, people don't buy books. What people buy, people pay for solutions. People pay for transformation. I want to ascend in my career, and I need knowledge to ascend in my career. So I need a book that will help me to ascend. I want to be a nursing mother who wants to have some ease. I need a book that speaks to that. So when we are pushing our books, the underlying operation on the internet is that people are paying for what has value, what they can exchange money for, and then they'll be attracted to it because of their need or their pain point. So we need to begin to present books as solutions, not just read. We say read, but we must attend to those solutions. It's easier to sell some of all this read. Let me put it this way. When you say read, you can sell that one when it comes to textbook, because people are forced to buy textbooks because they need to read it. You can sell that one when you have known authors, like we saw the book of Okonjo-Iweala. She's already a brand. But the other books that probably you don't have such big brands. So we need to begin to look at the content and how it solves people's problem. Because when people go online to scan. People don't read online. They just scan. It's what piques their interest, they will stop. So when people are scrolling through their phone, you want to drop a message that will make them to stop and imagine or even have a thought about what you have said there that will benefit them. So we look at it from the angle of value. And then lastly, another one is that people want you to be authentic. When we are going online to sell, let's go online to serve people. You want to make people's life easier. You want to give them more energy. You want to give them more knowledge. And then with that, you are able to connect with them and you can empathize. Sometimes when people complain online, you don't even need to defend all the time. You can apologize. People want to know that you're a real person they are doing business with. And then the last thing is on the issue of community. I like what Toby said already about the issue of book clubs. That's a community. But the fantastic thing about the online system is that you can create your own community, you can create your own market. By the time you have data, you have a way to segment your data, you have a way to send them emails regularly. There's a rule in the digital space that if you don't send a mail a week, you're as good as dead. So it's easier to send mails, but we know it may not be very easy around here. But I'll tell us one thing that can make all these things work, and it can be as cheap as possible. So you can build your own community so that you show them people who are reading and how they are making progress with those things. And then you have a community and carve a market for yourself. I'm going to quickly run back to my other slide where I'm going to stop. The other slide to show us how everything can work and how cheap it can be. The interesting thing is, after saying all of this, sometimes we may wonder, how much do I need to spend to get this done? Do I need somebody to be sending the emails? Do I need somebody to be the one to do this, to watch over them? No, there is what is called automation. That is what they use overseas. In the advanced world, that is what they use. So you just set it on your system that the moment somebody clicks on your advert, the moment someone clicks on your advert online and connects to either your Facebook or connects to either your website, the automation engine will start. And the automation engine says the moment somebody visits this site, I can get the email address, send a mail to this person now. This is the mail to send. Then the title, the moment somebody buys a book, the automation engine sends the person a thank you and say, browse other books that we have. So with technology, you don't need a whole team of people to be doing all these things one by one. If you're able to develop an automation system from the day the person visits your book, even when the person forgets to open the email, the system tells the person, oh, you have forgotten to open this email for the past 2 days. If the person clicks a yes, so it's easier for us to manage all of these within a process. And then the final thing I would like to say is that for us to reduce our budget online, it is all going to work when we integrate this system. Because just having 100,000 likes and no business can be frustrating. And the other thing is, for us, like I've shown us here, we need to start moving people down the funnel until we make a sale. And each sale we make with the data we have, a lot of us have data of our customers right now lying somewhere either in our system, or we don't send them mails, we don't send them SMS. Now, one-on-one is the way a book will sell, fast, and then we can begin to know people's interest and then market to them. I think I would like to stop here and take questions in the Senate. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I guess that we have heard the technical sides, and I think the point at which he ended, about the budget savers, spoke to the heart of this discussion. Mr. Ilori, thank you so much for your presentation. I think that some of the issues that we had, talked about have, as it were, been addressed in the course of the presentation. So we are very grateful. Thank you so very much. We are still going to take questions and comments and responses. But I think that one of the things that we should bear in mind is that, we had an allotted time, and yes, there have been some itches here and there, but on the official count, we do have just about 10 minutes, to close up this session. So I think every other person who is speaking from now on, we just want to appeal to us to be as swift, snappy, and to the point. Starting again with our youth respondent, Erosa. Erosa, I think you are unmuted now.
Yes, of course, I am.
Okay. We have heard some of the technical issues. I got the ones about integration, automation, the budget savers, in that sense. And, I think another very interesting point about harvesting data. And I think there are also some automatic formats for harvesting data, which were also, touched in the course of the presentation. Does this make your work a bit easier? Does it make our work a bit easier?
Oh yes. The thing about the language of seminars and presentation worldwide is that behind the technical language are practicalities. Everything that Gideon said, there's practical native pidgin English word for it. And the truth, at the end, it comes down to efficiency. What is the most efficient way to send out tweets? What was the most efficient way to send out tweets? The most efficient way to send out tweets is basically the way you would to send out a tweet, an Instagram and a Facebook post. There are apps that already do that integrate your entire social media. So you send out one post, it generates across all platforms. How do you send messages to everybody at the same time? There are apps that have vest email addresses. When you go for book events, there's the manual olden days way of doing it. Carry biro, please, what's your phone number? What's your email address? Like what the book fair does at every fair. What the Nigerian Book Fair Trust does does that every fair. So yes, it's always good to find that the things that you learned organically by trial and error, it's always good to see them presented structurally. And I think that's what's most important, because I think that most people who are trying to get into this space fear the jargon. No, it's not jargon. It's actually just basic technical language describing what you intuitively should know. Because there's nobody who's going to enter this book selling business that doesn't love books or doesn't love business or doesn't get business. So the first and most important thing for us to understand is that the solutions that might seem so far are actually solutions that intuitively your heart knows that that is what you should have done a long time ago. I think that's one of the most important things I've always found about this, our business. That behind the SEOs, search engine optimization, and the big Oyibo is the basic idea. Buy something cheaper, sell it slightly higher, earn money in the middle. That is life. That is what it's all about.
All right. Thank you very much. So very well put, Dr. Elosai Maswell. Very grateful for this. All right. Now, coasting home. There was an omission at the beginning. We had a couple of technical hitches, and so the opening remarks by the president of the Booksellers Association, we could not take it at that point. We are going to have to combine that with his closing remarks. I'm sure that Mr. Luatu, being a veteran, will be able to do that quite seamlessly for us today. So we'll get there. But before we get there, there are a number of respondents that need to say something, and of course, also there should be responses for some of the questions. I know one of the points that was raised was that there will be need to, do some reminders on what we have heard today, and that means that suggests that our speakers, and presenters, should find a way of getting their papers to maybe the secretariat of the association, so that from there it can now be recirculated to other people who want to take a second view, to go to the practical side, as Rosa has said, because the point about hearing 10 things and remembering 2, and then you have to keep hearing and hearing and hearing until you grow enough faith, and action to be able to get to make that sale that has to be made at the end of transactions of this nature. So I think that we should just make that point that our speakers and presenters should just do us that. Toby and Mr. Iwari, we would appreciate your presentations being sent to the Secretariat as soon as possible, so that our members can digest it some more, and pray for you more as the profits roll in. But just as Egusa said, let's get some other responses. I had seen Mr. Oyaiton in the house. It was actually the one that made the point about whether the invoice was going to be very big, that Toby was going to ask us to pay for these trade secrets that she had disclosed. But I think that we can now take responses. Who do we take now? I think, Mr. Oyaiton, if you are there, can you just speak to the subject? Which of the points do you think is most germane that we should be reminded of? Or which of the points don't you agree with in the presentations this far? Mr. Oyaiton, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Mama. I appreciate. I wasn't actually requesting for an invoice because I know we cannot pay Roving Heights enough. I was only appreciating the fact that in this environment where most of us keep our strategies as top trade secrets, that she could come around and share it with members of the same trade. I give kudos to her and her team. And I think this is just one of those things we should learn to do. We read about what Tesco, other organizations, what they do. Even if you don't tell, it doesn't really matter. So these days we should just work together to be able to achieve more. No doubt about it, the online way is just the only way out for us. I wouldn't want to take too much time. There's nothing I disagree with what has been said. I just hope we can all make good use of them and to be able to kind of do better than we are currently doing. Once again, I want to appreciate the president and his team, and appreciate our speakers too for a wonderful job well done. Thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. I think we also have in here Ajia Kutirat Abiola, Usman Danfodio University. Madam, Ajia, if you are in, we would appreciate if you can respond to the presentation. Is Ajia with us?
Madam, she unmute herself.
Oh, hello, good morning, everyone.
Okay, we can hear you. Good morning.
Hello.
Good day. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me this morning. Yeah, thank you very much, the chairman, for the opportunity given to me. And I really want to thank all the presenters and then the panelists. You have really done well. Yeah, the reason why I said I want to make a little contribution is that from the librarianship aspect.
The signal is pretty bad. Maybe she can try again.
From my own
technical team.
The signal is bad. She needs to stop and try again.
We are not hearing her anymore.
Connecting right.
Mute her and tell her to try again.
Hello?
Okay. If you could settle down and try again. You have to start again. And your microphone is muted, so you need to start again.
All right.
Okay,
hello?
go on, Nadia. Yes, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Thank you very much. I said that I'm speaking. Yeah, I said I'm speaking from the librarianship perspective. You the two speakers that have spoken, they have already spoken very well. And then most of the technical issues they have mentioned, I quite appreciate them and I really agree to them. But the only thing I think you are still living outside the bookseller function is that of journals. I realize that when accreditation period comes, we librarians will not expect to look for journals that are locally published, because when the accreditation team comes to the library, the first thing they look for is their publications in various journals. And if we don't have all these journals ready, they begin to query the librarians that we are not current. I feel this is an opportunity for the Bookseller Association to just put all these journals together in a data bank and make them available, because librarians want to subscribe to all these electronic copies of the journals that are being published across the nation. If you can have a kind of team or a committee that will look into that, bring all the authors, especially almost all the libraries in Nigeria, all the universities in Nigeria have one journal or the other that they publish. If you put all this together and make them into a data bank and then now provide access to it, I think it will really bring a lot of huge income to the association by making it available to all institutions and then give us good pricing. And I believe the librarians will want to subscribe to that, because why I said this is as a result of the research I have just finished conducting for my PhD work. What am I actually looking for in that work is, as a librarian with my wealth of experience, I understand that when we subscribe to e-resources, we only have enough users to access these resources, and at the end of the day, the subscription expires, and then we don't have access to those resources again, and it is becoming a serious problem for librarians to be able to get funding from the university to subscribe to e-packages. So I now looked at it as, okay, Could it be that our services are the ones that are making the users not to access these resources regularly, or what? Guess what I found out from the field? I realized that most of the database we buy for the university libraries are not what the library users are actually looking for. When I went to Wary, almost all the users that I put on usability testing to access those databases for me, they actually told me, Madam, the content that you have in this database does not really solve our problems, and that is why we don't use them. So I quite agree with Ms. Toby and Mr. Ilori that creating content that we are going to develop for a particular group of people determines the kind of audience you will have whenever you are marketing. And I believe what these people are trying to tell us is
Okay, hello?
That's okay.
You can mute your mic.
Hello? All right, I think
you can mute the microphone.
Yes.
You can mute the microphone and continue. Mute the microphone, sir.
Yes. So sorry. I think that. Okay.
The point is
the point. She has made the point. She has made the point. Continue, sir.
The point is made.
The point is made. Continue.
Okay. I thank you very much, Ajia. Some technical issues. Talking to the issues of the new normal. I know that as we keep building, we would keep getting it much better in terms of the tech issues. But I think your point is quite a strong one, and I think as you noted, it does also connect with part of the issues that our speakers have been speaking to. The truth about it is that if you want to get a product sold, it's got to be a product that would appeal to the buyer. Buyers buy because they are sufficiently excited about your product. They are interested, they are excited, or they want to give you the benefit of doubt. So you've got to have that affective connection. And it is the business of marketing to be able to cross the divide, in that sense. So I think it's a strong point. And when she now went to the subject which librarians are interested in, which is journals in itself. We talk about journals and we know about journals, but we've got to be able to organize it in such a way and say, why should an audience be interested in journal A or journal B that we want to offer to them? It's not just throwing it at them, but being able to find out, are you interested, trying to do some pre-marketing surveys, in that sense. What do you want so that I can get it for you, in that sense. So I think everybody is talking about some smart, methods being brought into the whole process so that we can get the profits, that should come for the great work that we do in this sector and in the industry overall. Great point made, and I think some of the speakers may respond to it in the course. But at this point, I want to just find out one or two responses that we would be expecting. Pastor Remy Morgan, are you in the house? We want to hear from you. Can you respond as quickly as possible to some of the points that have been raised? We're about coasting home, but we think we should hear from you. Pastor Morgan? Pastor Morgan?
It's not in the house.
Oh, okay. We also think that Dr. Musuro, please, we also want to hear from you.
I think he has left. I can't see him.
Okay. All right. Any other questions, comments that we can take now? Anyone else who wants to ask a question, comment before we get to the closing, sequence?
No, the moderator.
Yes, please.
Good morning, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yes, this is Ade Shino. I just wanted to, sorry. I would
Okay,
like,
we are hearing you, Mr. Adesina. Please go on.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you very well.
Okay. So, when Mr. Yade was making a presentation, she was trying to, I felt that she was struggling to see or know what there's a bookshops actually apply as a trade, and just mention some things that they do. I want to say just for record purposes that CSS Bookshop actually, the name is Church and School Supplies. So the merchandise that that CSS Bookshops offers, that educational materials, school materials, children book, nursery, primary, secondary, and tertiary titles, as well as professional books ranging from medicine, nursing, engineering, and so on, and of course religious titles.
Technical.
Hello?
We are no longer hearing him.
Yeah.
Technical team.
Mr. Adesina, are you still there?
We are off.
Okay. I think he was making a clarification about the range of products that CSS is engaged in. Historically incorporated as church and school supplies. So that gives us an idea of some of the range of products, but the brief has expanded even since then. And so if you enter the CSS bookshops on any given day, you would find even a wider range of products on offer. But the core products, originating products, church products, schools products, professional books, and the range, in that sense, fiction, going on. We missed him out. There was a technical glitch. But then let's see, any other questions, any other comments? Okay. I think at this point, I'll just ask our speakers. Toby, if you are there, is there a final word you want to offer? A final word?
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been enlightening. I want to also thank NIBF and Bookseller Association of Nigeria once again for bringing everyone together to rub minds and think of way forward and ways they can push their business out there more. This has been really, really helpful. So thank you everybody for listening. I can see a few people asking for slides. Yes, I'll be sharing the slides with the secretariat shortly via email, or perhaps whatever platform is available here. So thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Toby. We appreciate your participation. Let's go on. The formal vote of thanks would come after the president's address, but I want to get a final word from Mr. Gideon Ilori. Can you just give us any final word, any final points you want to share with us? Tech side.
Okay, thank you, sir. I want to still continue the trend of thanking everybody for participating. I strongly believe that this is the beginning of great things for booksellers in Nigeria, because if there's anybody that should be selling greatly online, it should be books, because people go there for content, and this is a content, how do I call it, content universe. I believe there will be more for us to achieve going forward from there. So this is a very good one, and it's a step in the right direction. I want to say thank you very much for a forthright leadership and better things to come. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Elosa.
Yes, so I'm going to I'm going to hang my hat on a quote from a Christopher Nolan film, Inception, which goes, "You must never be afraid to dream a little bigger, darling. We must never be afraid to dream big." If we identify that at the end of the day, the final cost junction, the final place that stops almost everything is the cost of logistics, the cost of selling these books after making sales online, then we might need to start lobbying the post office. We might need to start lobbying the privately built logistics businesses, the nationwide businesses like K Express for Konga and the Jumia Express from Jumia, and the Nigerian Postal Service. We need to start talking to them. And I believe that if there's something we take away from this and from the pandemic, is that brick and mortar will need to become where we store our books, and our online customer interfaces will need to become our bookshops going forward, and that we need to put pressure and get default costs down for shipping books. I think that's what I take away from this space. And I appreciate the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. I appreciate the Nigerian Book Fair Trust. And we kept it within time, mostly only 15 minutes above. I appreciate everybody for how competent and how well handled this presentation was. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doc. I think you got to the point. You know, one of the first books I read this year was The Prosperity Paradox. You know, Christensen and Fusa, and you know, it made quite an impact on me about the fact that yes, you have logistics issues, yes, you have, you know, challenges, infrastructure issues, but you know something, at the core of business is innovation. If the post office cannot do it, I'm sure someone will do it. You know, if the, you know, Toby was talking about the fact that you have, you know, dispatch riders that are not as cutthroat as some of the more formal systems. You have courier systems. You know, in my neighborhood, there's a neighbor who does Uber, and when I have to do dispatches, he does dispatches for me, and it's on his Uber route. So we split the cost, you know, in that sense. So I'm sure we will continue to think out of the box to be able to get innovative solutions, you know, for expanding this space. The truth about it is that there's a lot more capacity out there that we have to serve, you know, as book trade, you know, practitioners, and no one else will do it but us. So let's put our book caps on and get that going. I think on that note, I want to call on our president, Mr. Oluwatui. We want to welcome you to give us a combined opening and closing remarks. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Richard Bama, for a job well done. Let me say a very big thank you to all our speakers. They've done wonderfully well. I don't know if I could have gotten, or if the ESCO would have gotten better speaker for this program. When we were searching for speakers, I got advice, and one of those people that was nominated was Toby Enyade. I never met Toby. And when I started speaking with her, I said she should send her picture. She refused until 2 days ago. Mr. Efosa, sorry, Dr. Egosa, I don't think we have also met. But the first time I came across his page was during, I think it was during Obasanjo or during President Jonathan Goodluck regime, when tax was introduced on books importation.
2012, 2013.
2014. Somebody came out. Yeah, I think it was on channel, television, book club, whatever. And it's when I was in my hotel room that day, and I said, so that is the first time I called his face, and I'm not sure we have met. So this pandemic, as we have said, is a new normal, and I think it has come to stay. If somebody said at this time last year that we will be having something like this, we said, no, it's not possible. But we can see that we are compelled to it, and I think that we have started well. I don't know if any of us caught the data that was flashed when the program was going on, that we are being watched from 136 countries, this program. And we are being watched by over 33,000 people. This is great, by my own estimation. And so I'm appealing to my members. This year we are having just about 50 exhibitors. By next year, we're going to be hosting this again. This has come to stay. Even if we are going to have the physical one, this virtual one will also be hosting it along at the same time or a different time of the year. I expect that by next year, we should not have less than 250 to 500 exhibitors from the Booksellers Association. I want to thank the ESCO for their support and for all that we are able to achieve. But let me just respond quickly to Ajia Kudrat Abiola's comments. Yes, we and the Publishers Association, we are already working on a way that we can have a consortium of titles authored and published locally, that is in Nigeria. We have what we call the nursing book data and a few others. If you go on nursing book data, you have almost all the titles published in UK, in America, in the advanced countries in there, but you will not see Nigerian titles. The Nigerian titles you may see will be those that are published by UK or United States of America publishers, or maybe a few that has crossed to Amazon.com. So we are working at getting a platform that will have all the titles published in Nigeria. But we need the cooperation of each stakeholders. For example, the university. It will be easy for the university to come together and bring all the journals that have been published, even books that have been published by lecturers, together. If we have that, then our job is made simpler and easier. We can just take that into the platform that we are already working on, that we want to work on. So Ajia Kurabela is a friend, so we'll be speaking after this. I thank you for coming, madam. To the speakers, I said a big thank you. When I got Toby, somebody suggested Toby. I never met her, like I said. When I spoke with her, I said, okay, let me think, let me look at my program and all that. It took us almost over a week before she could say, okay, yes. I thank you very much for what you have been able to present within 30 minutes. And I want to tell you, you and Gideon, you are coming back to give an hour lecture on this same topic to the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. So just go and enlarge your presentation today and then get ready. We'll be inviting you very soon to come and talk to us. We need you seriously. Mr. Gideon Lori, thank you very much. I know you. I think you are the only one I know among the 3 speakers. But today, if my rating about you is 50%, I think you've got an additional 20%. Thank you very much. To all these, our founding fathers, we have a few of them. I think for one reason or the other, not many of them are in the house today. I thank you for your support. Thank you for your advice at Ofra. Some of you at midnight, at morning, at all the time you call me, you give advice, and this will be very helpful. I say thank you very much. So on that note, I thank all our listeners worldwide. And I say, in the evening, we are going to have our last program, that is the Booksellers Association of Nigeria last program. We say invite you to join us. Thank you very much. God bless.
Okay, I suppose that is where we would be shutting down for today. Mr. Kiyobi. Mr. Kiyobi, is he in the house? Some announcements?
No announcement. The PRO, Mr. Michael Adeoye, will give the close. Will give
Okay,
thanks.
Mr. Adeoye, please. PRO ban. Can we have the vote of thanks? Mr. Adeoye, sir. Are you in the house, sir?
Let's see.
Adeoye has gone.
Henry, General Secretary, are you there? Please take over.
I can see Mr. Itauma, General Secretary. Okay, please, can you do the vote of thanks for us, sir, so that we can close the session?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, vote of thanks.
Yes, we can.
you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Okay.
Yes, we are hearing you, sir. Please go ahead.
PRO is back. Okay.
Yes, can I go ahead?
Go ahead.
The vote of thanks? Okay. Well, I would like to say a big thank you to all the speakers and all those that have watched us online. This is a very remarkable beginning. This virtual book fair is something that has come to stay, and it's something that is very, very the quality of information and education I've had today on digital marketing and on online marketing. So I'd like us to end on the note that this is going to continue like the president said, and we look forward to more conferences and meetings like this, and we look forward to the growth of our association as we try to unify and come together in educating each other and communicating more with each other.
Okay, all right, thank you very much, sir. All right, and on that note of appreciation and with hopes for the future growth, we want to appreciate everyone who has come and ask that you make arrangements to join us again at 4 p.m. when the other session of the Booksellers Association presentations would be held. But for now, we would connect back with the central NIBF platform so that we can continue with the rest of programming until then. Thank you very much. Information technology would help this industry and keep building us better and better. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you.
Thank you. Boss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajia. Thank you.
Okay, you are very much welcome back to the Situation Room of the Nigerian International Book Fair Trust. I must very well sincerely commend the just concluded session of the second edition of the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. That was a very educative and mind-blowing presentation. Some of the major highlights of the Booksellers session is the fact that one of the speakers mentioned that branding and reputation is very, very important as booksellers. That it is important that you guide your reputation and the impression people have about you. I think that's a very, very good take-home, that you have to build your brand and let people know you for something. There is actually another point that was raised that I feel is another highlight for all participants to actually take home, which is the fact that people don't buy books, people buy transformations and people buy solutions. That's a very commendable presentation by the Booksellers Association of Nigeria. Please note that there is a download button a download material button just below the screen for you to download the slides of the just concluded presentation. We enjoy you to kindly stay tuned while you bring, we are going to bring you the second program for today, which is the Authors Groove by the Association of Nigerian Authors at exactly 1 p.m. Nigerian time. It's a program that you can't afford to miss as authors and of course as creative stakeholders in the book industry. It promises to be exciting as well as informative. See you by 1 p.m. Thank you very much.